What do you do if the tips don't cut right? I got these shears from a sharpener who has not my equipment and not my training, but he has similar equipment and he's trained by someone that I know is very knowledgeable, and he's having problems with the tips. And all of us have that sometimes. Let's look at it and see what the problem is, how to fix it, and we'll watch and see if I can fix it. I'm Bonnie Megowan. I really enjoy teaching shear sharpening and blade sharpening too. This is the reason I have so many videos on YouTube, is I really enjoy sharing my knowledge. Now, this shear is not your typical shear you're going to get. If you're a beginning shear sharpener, don't freak out that you're always going to have problems and that you're always going to be faced with difficult sharpening. I get some of the tough things. The things that the other sharpeners can't do, they send them to me. So let's take a look at these and see what we can do with them. So here's the shears. These are Olivia Garden. Now let me explain about Olivia Garden. Olivia Garden has this amazing program that they, you just, when the shears get dull, you send them back and they send you a new pair. So that should tell you right there what the quality of them and what the profit margin is. Before I say anything, I'm going to let you, and I think the main problem, you might be able to spot it even if you've never sharpened before. I'll let you look at this shear and see if you can tell me what's wrong with it. Put it in the comments thing. I'll give a little bit of a pause here. Remember, he says the problem is at the tip. He says they're not cutting right. If you're going to send shears to me, whether you're a stylist or a sharpener, don't say the tips aren't cutting right. Tell me they're pushing hair, they're folding hair, they're grabbing hair, they're noisy, they're just not cutting at all. Explain to me what they're doing. That will help. So let's see what these shears are doing. So first of all, I'm going to cut some dry tissue. Okay. No need cutting this wet, no need cutting hair, so it's more than just the tips not cutting right. So, have you guessed what the main problem is? So, if you're a sharpener, the first thing you always want to look at if something's not working is the screw. There's 2 washers in here, look at that. You look at the screw. Please get it, oh. This is not even the right screw for this shear. I don't think. Oh, there's 3. There's another washer in there. Look at there. That's not, this isn't the right screw for this shear. And that could be the big problem, because that's got to be on the top. This has got to be on the bottom. The square peg always goes in the round hole. So this is a square peg. See if we can fix this screw and maybe that'll fix the problem. Okay, this goes in here. That goes there. Well, this might fit. This might work on there because it does fit on there. Okay. All right, I thought it was the wrong screw, but it's not. It does actually fit. It needs more washers. The reason I'm saying it needs more washers is I'm tightening it all the way down and it's still too loose. So the extra washers, so maybe it needed 3 washers. A lot of factories will put 3 washers in all their shears. How many of you, guessed what the problem was before I went through all this, before I took them apart? Put it in the comments if you were one that figured it out. And you know, screws on shears are just super important. And you can't always assume the last person put them together right. So you can't always just put them back together the way you got them, because... Alright, so now let's see if it cuts. Still doesn't cut, but it's definitely better. So it's got more than one problem. Next problem I see is he's got all kinds of edges here. Looks like a beveled edge with a convex. Maybe it was bevel originally and they tried to convex. He didn't get all the way to the edge. Either that or it was convexed and he put in a bevel. But I'm guessing it was beveled by the last person before him. He tried to convex it and he didn't get it all the way to the edge. But I don't see a huge ride line issue. What I see more, a little wimpy right there, is more just not a consistent angle. So I'm just going to take them apart and sharpen them, and let's see how they cut afterwards. Just going to do regular, normal sharpening. So I apologize for my messy workstation. And my stone is far past, I mean, do as I say, not as I do. My stone is far past flattening. We're looking at hiring some people this week, hopefully, and that's going to be one of the things they're going to do is flatten my stones. There's a few things about sharpening I don't like doing. One is I don't like flattening my stone. I don't like charging my plate when I do clipper blades. And but I do like teaching sharpening. Yeah. I think I'm just going to have to flatten my stone so you can see what's going on. Normally I would take this to the sink. Let me get a towel underneath it so I don't make a huge mess. Normally I would take it to the sink, get it good and wet, and then this is my stone, and I'm going back and forth and round, diagonal. You see I've got a piece right there that's not cleaning up good. I know this is boring to watch a stone being flattened. I'll give it a lick and a promise, as my mother used to say. And I would say, Mom, promise what? And she said, promise to do better next time. So there's my lick and a promise. It's not perfect. You definitely need to keep going more when you're doing this, but that might get me through this video. And you'll see that I can have a stone that's not perfect. You can deal a lot with less than perfection, and it still come out all right. That's what church is about, isn't it? A bunch of people that aren't perfect. And I think that's what our sharpening community is about. We've got a sharpening community. You may want to follow us on our Facebook group. It's Sharpeners Jam Group, and you can chat with other sharpeners, because I mean, I'm not the one that knows it all. You can read in the comments until I don't. See, our ride line came out pretty nice. The little tip is a little bit wimpy. A little bit more pressure on the tip. But my main pressure is over the pivot hole. And you've got to do this with the shears apart. Don't try to do this at home and not have your shears apart. Because that's part of what I teach when people come in for training. And by the way, if you're interested in coming in for a private one-on-one training, I'm booked out for about 2 months now. I try not to train more than 2 people a week. Although that's my favorite thing to do is to teach sharpening, but 2 a week I get burned out. And so I've got a worn 800 grit. I might clean it up just a little bit. This is a swarf eraser. See how it looks better? Alright, so now I've got to decide what angle to do them at. Let's just do a scratch test. I normally don't do scratch tests. I normally don't do scratch test on a convex edge, but this one's got me kind of curious. Well, it looks like 45 will do it. What I'm looking for is if I've taken that red off along the edge. If I was way back behind the edge, I'd know I need to go to something maybe blunter than 45. This is the Cymec HG. We also sell the Cymec Junior. This, of course, is my favorite because it's a little bit more ergonomic. Got to burr all the way down. I'm not getting it at the tippy tip. And maybe I shouldn't be worried about it. This kind of reminds me of some shears that I did last week. I was at a school and a teacher gave me 3 pairs of shears to sharpen. Well, 2 of them were ones that I had sharpened in the past. She'd had a while. And I noticed the tip looked like this, like I wasn't getting the burr like at the last millimeter at the tip. And I'm like, well, let's see how they cut. But they cut okay, so I let it go rather than keep working at it. Then when I gave her the 3rd shear, she was like, oh, it's too pointy at the tip. Can you fix it? And then it was like, oh, now I know. She wanted me to take that little tiny point off right there in that corner. And I normally don't do that unless they ask, because some of them like their shears really pointy for getting like along the hairline or something like that. So I've done, let me see how these look. Talking, I'm not even looking. Now this looks a whole lot better, and I haven't got to the polishing. Let's zoom in here so you can see what I'm talking about. See how that looks a lot more convexy than what it did? This just goes to show, I mean, this is why we let people, if they come in for training and they train the one day with me and they need to come back and get things tweaked, we don't charge for them to come back. Because sometimes, and I know it was that way with me, I had to go back home after training and sharpen for about 3 months till I knew what I didn't know. And then I went back and tweaked and got a little additional training. So this is felt pad with diamond spray and polishing compound. And I've backed off my clamp, so instead of 45, I'm really about 49, I guess. And you're going to see this doesn't take that long to get these cutting right. I think these will cut fine after I sharpen them. But I think this particular sharpener, it sounds like his equipment is adequate. So I think he maybe have just forgotten some things that he was taught, because I know his teacher is more than adequate. And it's just not coming together for him. So this might be one of those things that could be done online rather than in person, which I do that, and other sharpeners do as well. So let me clean this up. And I'm feeling as I clean it up whether all the burrs are off. You know, that microfiber cloth will catch that for me. So, that quickly, let's put it together. I think there's still one washer in there. Did I forget to take the washers out again? Oh yeah, there's a washer in here which I didn't take out, I should have. And there's a washer on the peg. Square peg goes in a round hole. Square peg into the round hole. Don't forget. Usually with this type of clicker plate, we call this an internal clicker plate, because usually there's a well in the shears. This one is a little different. It's actually fitting on the little square peg part, and that's holding it into place, and the nipple's got to be up. You've got to understand how shears are taken apart and put back together. This one would be one I would like to have in my box of collectibles of different kinds of weird screws, because this is just so key. Now I'm checking the adjustment without closing it, and I want to do the first close on a tissue. Haha! Now tip's pulling, and we kind of thought maybe it might, because Remember I said it was, I didn't get a burr all the way down? And I said, but we can fix that later. Let's see if it cuts wet. See, it didn't cut dry before, remember? And it's still pulling at the tip. Let me show you how I'm going to fix that. You always want to check, make sure the tip comes together, or if you can trim something off the bumper, or there's something weird in here, but I think we just need to shorten it this much. You see that little bit of fuzz there? I want to shorten this so that fuzz disappears. You can turn it over. You're doing this and you plan to use this plate for sharpening, you want to do it even all the way across, because if you stay in one place, you'll have some grooves. I did that the other day, and then I noticed it messed up my other sharpening when I used that plate. That fuzz hasn't come off, but I've taken a lot off. I want to round this off. Still there, see it? Don't want to take too much off. I don't want them to notice it's shorter. Let's try a little nail buffer. I think I've got it. I could feel a little bit of a pull, but I don't think the stylus is going to notice that. Little teeny bit. I guess I better go ahead and take that off. Still there. That's got it. So these shears are working all the way through. Let's cut some hair just to be sure. Don't want any surprises. Oh yeah, even taking my thumb out cuts hair beautifully. So sometimes it's easy to fix. This one had two problems. And the first problem was super easy. And the second problem just required just regular, normal shear sharpening. I have a playlist of a lot of videos that have to do with points and tips of shears, and it might be helpful to you if you're looking for some more videos on that. And then I have put out videos on a pretty frequent basis, so you may want to subscribe and also join our Facebook group, Sharpeners Jam Group. And I'll be at Sharpening Convention coming up in November, so you may want to go on our website and get more information about that.